Okay, think about this for a sec. You grab your phone, hit record. Simple, right? Seems like you're just catching what happens over a bit of, time. Or you look at a clock, watch the seconds tick by.
Yeah.
Tracking time, moving forward. But what if? What if you're not actually dealing with time at all?
Yeah, it's a really disruptive idea, and it's the core of this piece we've been digging into. It's got this great provocative title, Frames Per Second, Capturing the Truth About Time and Motion.
Right. And that's our mission for this deep dive, isn't it? To really unpack that truth.
Mm-hmm.
What if, like the source says, time, the way we feel it, the way we talk about it, isn't the real deal? What if it's actually motion?
Exactly. We're going to explore what this source calls motion theory. And look at how cameras, the tech you use every day, might actually be showing us this deeper reality. And, what that means for everything. Physics, consciousness, you name it.
So yeah, get ready, because just by looking closer to how a camera works, we might stumble onto insights that really shift how you see the world. Seriously.
Let's jump in where the source does. With the camera itself, it makes a pretty bold claim right away. When you shoot video, you're not capturing time.
Okay. So if not time, then what?
It says you're capturing frames of motion.
Frames of motion, okay.
And it flips the script on FPS, frames per second. It argues it's not about clocking intervals of time. It's the camera sampling motion into still images over and over really fast.
So like 24 times a second, 60 times 240. That's just how many snapshots of the movement it's grabbing.
That's the idea. It's the number of distinct samples or slices of the motion itself. And here's the big shift in thinking the source proposes. FPS isn't tracking time passing. Think of it more like the resolution of motion loops.
Resolution of motion loops. Okay, hang on. That sounds much more active, less passive than just measuring duration. So it's less about how long and more about how much detail you can see inside the movement.
Precisely. The source uses this term, sync granularity. The more frames, the more slices per second, the higher your sync granularity. And the more of the motion's fine structure you actually reveal. It's not about stopping time. It's about seeing the motion more clearly.
Okay, I think I'm with you. You're basically just dialing up the detail level on the motion itself. And the source uses these incredible examples with high-speed cameras, right? The ones that push that sync granularity way, way up.
These visuals are, they're kind of mind-blowing. They really hammer the point home. Like, at 1,000 frames per second, you don't just see a bullet hit a balloon. You see the motion of the balloon skin actually bending, distorting before the bullet is even fully inside.
Whoa. So you see the process, the interaction unfolding, not just boom, pop.
Exactly.
Right.
Then jump up to 10,000 frames per second, and suddenly you can actually watch shockwaves moving across glass. That ripple of motion becomes visible.
Okay, that's wild.
And then, this is the one, 1,000 frames per second. 1,000,000. You can literally see pulses of light seeming to crawl through the air.
Light itself. Crawling. That just breaks my brain a little bit.
Right. But the source stresses these aren't frozen moments in time. That's the wrong way to think about it. They're motion exposures. They're revealing the universe's actual tiny granular movements. The little loops, the shudders, the rebounds that happen way too fast for our eyes and brain to catch.
So just pause and think about that, you listening. Seeing those motions in hyper detail, doesn't that kind of change how you feel about basic physics? Or even just like how a ball bounces. It's like seeing the hidden machinery behind reality.
And that perspective leads the source to another really fascinating idea about the cameras. They're not just recording tools. They're described as extensions of consciousness, or even consciousness amplifiers.
Consciousness amplifiers. Okay, that sounds like a huge jump. How does it justify that?
Well, the argument is that cameras allow us, our human consciousness, to become aware of these motion loops. These things happening way too fast or too subtly for our own senses. Our eyes, our brains, they have their own sort of biological frame rate, right? A limit on sync granularity. Cameras just blow past that limit.
Okay, I see. So the camera lets our brain sync up with motions that were previously invisible to us. It's like using tech to upgrade our own sensory input, boost our personal frame rate on reality.
That's a good way to put it, exactly. And this loops us right back to how we usually think about time. That standard idea. Time as a river flowing forward, separate from everything, measured by clocks ticking away.
Yeah, the everyday view. But this motion theory really challenges that, doesn't it?
Head on. It argues clocks don't measure some external thing called time. They are simply devices that, they oscillate in loops.
Yeah.
And repeat a motion very reliably.
Okay, so how does that work with, like, my watch?
Well, the source case examples. A quartz watch isn't dipping into the river of time. It's using a crystal's very consistent vibrational motion loop. It's the vibration, the motion, that's regular.
And the clock on my phone.
Same idea. It's not counting abstract seconds passing. It's counting motion cycles in a chip. Again, counting a reliable repeating motion.
So the central claim pops up again. Time is motion.
Ooh.
The ticking hand, the vibrating crystal, those are just reliable motions we use to sync up our own actions, our own internal rhythms with everything else happening.
Exactly. We're not measuring time. We're coordinating different patterns and cycles of motion.
We just got used to calling that measuring time.
Pretty much. And this totally reframes those high-speed cameras again. They aren't slowing time down because if this theory is right, there isn't a universal time to slow down.
So what are they doing then?
They're just revealing finer detail of the motion structure itself. They're giving us a much higher sync granularity into the reality of motion.
Which leads to maybe the most out there idea in the source about consciousness itself.
Yeah, it gets pretty deep here. It suggests that our experience, what we call human consciousness, is limited by our own biological frame rate. There's a speed limit to what our brain can resolve, what motions it can sync with and process consciously.
Okay, so under motion theory, consciousness is what then?
It is a real-time synchronizer of internal and external motion rhythms.
A synchronizer.
Yeah, it's about how well our internal biology, our brain, our body, can lock onto, predict, and interact with the motion patterns out there in the world.
Wow.
And the source pushes it, arguing we don't really think in like a straight line of time. Our internal world is more about recognizing and working with loops, building rhythm stacks, understanding pattern layers.
So memory isn't a timeline, it's recalling synchronized motion patterns. Predicting the future is anticipating motion sequences.
That's the essence of it. We understand the world by syncing with its rhythms.
And the implication is, if we get better at resolving motion, through tech or maybe other means,
then consciousness itself becomes more refined, more aware of the underlying structure of reality. That's the logical step the source takes.
Think about that for a moment, Yu. Does that resonate at all? Thinking of your own mind working not just on a clock, but syncing with rhythms, loops, patterns. Like when you learn to dance or play music or even just walk smoothly, it feels less about timing seconds and more about getting the rhythm, the flow, the motion, right?
It's a different lens for introspection, for sure. And the source suggests we're really just scratching the surface here.
We're just beginning.
Yeah. It looks ahead, speculates about future tech, like AI that could generate frames between the recorded ones.
Inferring even finer motion detail.
Exactly. Or quantum sensors detecting motion at the tiniest scales. Maybe even bio-optical enhancements, giving us biological high-speed vision someday.
Whoa. Bio-optical enhancement. And the source has that great line, say, these future tools could make today's million frame per second cameras seem like, what was it?
Like cave paintings.
Yeah.
Primitive.
And what could we see then? If we could resolve motion down to that level?
Well, the source speculates. Maybe the near instantaneous neural motion loops that are the very start of a thought.
Seeing thought happen.
Or the incredibly complex, fast loops of biology at the molecular level, seeing the rhythms of life itself in a completely new way.
Or even the motion within light, seeing the ripples behind light.
Pushing the absolute limits. Yeah.
Okay, so pulling it all together, the big takeaway from this deep dive, from this source material, is this really radical, kind of beautiful idea that if we could just resolve motion clearly enough, granularly enough, we might realize what the source says. There was never a thing called time. There was only motion waiting for us to see it clearly.
Yeah. The whole perspective offered by motion theory isn't about stopping time or controlling it. It's about refining motion resolution until reality reveals its true rhythm.
So how does exploring all this change how you might see the world right now? Next time you see a ball bounce, is it just duration? Or can you imagine those incredibly fast, complex motion loops making it happen? When you check the clock, are you seeing time? Or a machine counting motion cycles?
It definitely leaves us with a big question to chew on, doesn't it? If consciousness really is defined by how well we sync up with these fundamental motion rhythms, what new kinds of awareness, what new understanding could open up as we get better and better at resolving motion, both externally with our tech and maybe internally too? What unseen rhythms are playing out all around us, just waiting for us to finally sync up?